Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel and also welcome back to my class for the subject of instructional material and development, particularly for the English language in class. So at this point in time, I know you are already crafting your instructional material and at the moment you are currently revising your instructional material. So while you are still revising and then still crafting your instructional material, I hope this discussion will help you also through the revision and also through the process of yours, in terms of crafting your instructional material. So at this point, we're going to be talking about the guiding principles in selecting and organizing content when designing effective educational materials. So let's proceed. So what are the guiding principles? So we have already discussed about the different guiding principles when crafting instructional material. However, at this part, you are only focusing in terms of selecting topics. Of course, this one is guided for your, competencies, crafted and taken from the DepEd materials. DepEd guidelines and competencies, or what we call MELCs. But also, aside from selecting, you need to look into the organization. How are you going to organize the subject topics or subject content at the same time with the competencies? Remember, you always look into the complexities from simple to complex in terms of giving topics to our dear students. So here, again, when we talk about guiding principles, these are the crucial, or this plays a crucial role in designing effective educational materials so that we could provide, experiences to our dear students and effective learning experiences. And also, of course, efficient also. So let's proceed. So the first thing that you need to understand and you need to look into as for the guiding principles when trying to select and organize learning topics are the following. So first, make sure that the topics that you are looking into, presenting to our dear students in terms of your learning material are relevant to the objectives. So make sure that the objectives that that you have lifted from the MELCs are really looking into the topics that you are going to present into your module. So, for example, your MELC is about identifying the paragraph development. So you need to look into what are the topics that will help them look into that skill of identifying the paragraph development. Another, if you identify, the different kinds of nouns, that should be also the topic. So in short, the objectives of lifted from your MELCs should be consistent with the topic that you're going to present. So, for example, if the topic is so big to discuss, that's the time that you try to chop it. And then therefore, which should be the first one, the next one, the next one, so that it would lead to from simple to complex, meaning from small bits of topics that will be presented to our dear students will make them have the bigger perspective of the topic. Did you get what I mean? So again, make sure that the content that you're going to present at the same time to be organized is aligned to the objectives that you have lifted from the MELCs, because your topics should be consistent with the objectives presented. Another thing that you need to consider for the guidelines is about the cultural sensitivity. So we have already discussed, and also I reiterated that when we talk about looking into the selection and organizing your content, you need to be culturally sensitive. You need to look into what target audience are you looking into so that the topics, the contents, the activities that you are about to present and give to our dear students are very culturally sensitive. So what do you mean by cultural sensitive? This is about looking into the balanced view of and also respecting the different knowledge from the different contexts where our students originated. So looking into the various cultural perspectives to promote inclusivity and equality. So that's the second one that you need to look into for the guidelines. And then of course, the third one, which is about the progressive complexity. So the one that I have told you, you try to look into from simple to complex, from easy to difficult, easy, average, difficult, so that it's easy for our dear students to really understand the topic because they were given essay activities, going to the average, and going to the difficult. Because when you present progressive complexity, it's easy for them to recognize knowledge, acquire knowledge, and therefore apply what they have learned. That's why the application is always at the middle and going into the contextualize and looking into the authenticity, and therefore they would have the embracing of the skill and grasp of it and at the same time apply it. That's why I have told you and discussed to you the Bloom's taxonomy so that you know what objectives are under the cognitive level, meaning at the knowledge level, and therefore going into the last one, which is about the evaluation. The highest level of cognitive level for our dear students are the evaluation level. Okay, so let's proceed. So another one is, of course, when you try to look into selecting and organizing, topics and also material, you need to look into the real world application. Meaning, the things that you are presenting to them are something that are theoretically can be applied to a real world context. Why? Because if our topics doesn't have the purpose of using it in a day-to-day basis, definitely our dear students wouldn't see the relevance of your topic, wouldn't see the relevance of letting them understand the topic because you don't put them into context. So therefore, you need to look into real world application, meaning the activities are into real world situation so that there is a practical relevance of the topic that you are giving to our dear students. So they do know that they need to understand paragraph development. They do need to understand parts of speech because they need to use it and eventually can be used also in their future activities. So therefore, they need to learn those skills. They need to learn those topics because it is relevant. It is needed for a day-to-day basis. So next one is interdisciplinary approach. What do you mean by interdisciplinary approach? It is an interdisciplinary approach when you try to put it into the different context from the different subject. For example, the topic is about noun or the topic is about adjectives and you try to apply it to the different subjects. For example, in mathematics, in science, in history, and other subjects. So for example, nouns. Kindly count the objects that you could see into inside the house. Can you identify among them how many how many of them are common, how many of them are proper? So you see, so there is an interjection and interdisciplinary approach from understanding different subjects at the same time you're targeting the skill of English. Can you follow? So for example, you ask them to identify the main idea, but the one that you have presented or the selection that you have presented is about history. So you are hitting two birds in one stone. You let them understand what is paragraph development. At the same time, you are presenting to them a topic or a certain selection about history. So therefore, you are fostering a holistic understanding of the content among your students. So another one is flexibility and adaptability. What do you mean by flexibility and adaptability? This is the thing that I am always telling you, that your material should be flexible in all times, at the same time in all places. So that at the same time also in all different learning styles. Why? So that your learning material can be possible in all types of learners and also in all types of needs of learners. Because, for example, there are learners that are mute or there are learners that are deaf. What are we gonna do with that? Of course, when we try to look into education, make sure that all materials are inclusive, meaning all materials can be available for all our learners. Therefore, your materials should be flexible and adaptable, meaning you have options for our dear learners. When you have options, therefore, it becomes personalized, and therefore, there is an inclusivity of the learning experience. And therefore, the content delivery is possible because you give them flexibility and your material is adaptable in all types of learners. So I guess that would be all for our first topic in terms of selecting and organizing learning materials. So that would be all, everyone, and I'll be giving you another discussion for that for our next topic. So goodbye, everyone.